What's going on, guys? It's Fight Season MMA, and today I want to just talk about the event last night at UFC 304. Belal Muhammad stunning everyone and beating Leon Edwards pretty handily in that fight, and talk about Tom Aspinall's 1-minute knockout. Also, Paddy Pimblett gets an amazing arm triangle armbar over Bobby Green. Gregory Rodriguez has a very exciting decision win over Christian Leroy Dunking with a lot of blood going in that fight. And we got Arnold Allen beating Giga Chikadze by decision in that first fight of the opening card. I just want to stick to the main card because a lot of these fights were a boring time for UFC 304, which I feel really bad about for the UFC 304 fans staying up till 5:30 a.m. for that main event. But let's jump right into the video. If you guys enjoy the content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so please go down there and hit that subscribe button. It is the best way to support the channel. 98% of my viewers who watch are not subscribed, so please go hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into the video. Okay, so first thing I want to start with is the fight between Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad, and Belal Muhammad looked really good in this fight. Now, it was not the most exciting fight. I watched the entire thing, and it was very, very, very boring. There's a lot of times that I just kind of wanted to go to bed, and I understand that I'm not in Manchester, so it would have been a lot less strenuous on me to watch this fight than someone watching it at 6 a.m. in the morning. But truly, Belal Muhammad looked really good in that fight. He was going into the takedowns, and he was doing a little bit in the striking department too, but that was because Leon Edwards was so worried about the takedown. I was sitting here screaming for Leon Edwards to throw a flying knee, to throw any sort of knee, to really deter that takedown. Someone in that welterweight division that really throws those knees really good is Ian Gary, but Ian Gary knows that if he's going to get taken down, he throws that knee right up the pipe just to make sure to deter it. But Leon Edwards wasn't doing any of it. He was kind of just relying on his jiu-jitsu skills and his takedown defense to really allow him to keep up the work. But Leon Edwards had a really hard time with Belal Muhammad's grip yesterday because every single time, I think what happens is Belal, when he grips, it goes right under the butt rather than going for something a little bit different or maybe a single. He always tries to go for a double leg, and if you obviously know, if you get that the lock right under the butt, you're going to have a lot more leverage to lift someone up. Now, Leon Edwards just kind of looked lost out there because in the striking department, he was not doing anything, and Leon Edwards genuinely looked like an unranked fighter last night. There was nothing good that he really did besides that third round jiu-jitsu that he had, almost getting the rear naked choke. And that was impressive to turn the position so hard. And the final 15 seconds of the fight where he was raining down elbows on Belal. But other than that, Leon Edwards looked like a very inexperienced fighter out there dealing with Belal Muhammad. But Belal Muhammad made that happen. He made Leon look unexperienced, even though Leon was the champion. Now it's Belal Muhammad, but Belal 100%, we got to give him his flowers. I know I made a video about Belal Muhammad talking crazy, but Belal Muhammad 100% deserves all the flowers that he needs to be given because of that dominant performance against Leon Edwards. Now, next off for Belal Muhammad, I really want to see Belal Muhammad fight Shavkat Rakhmonov, and I think we need to make that fight in December of this year to headline UFC 310, I believe. Do that fight. That would be an incredible fight. Put Shavkat Rakhmonov up there just so he can get the championship over Belal. But no, Belal had an amazing performance tonight. He looked really good. I wish it was a little bit more of an exciting fight. And I think the next fight that we do for Leon Edwards is we do Leon Edwards versus Jack Della Maddalena. I think that's a great fight to have and do a number one contender fight. For that standpoint, I think Leon Edwards doesn't automatically get an automatic rematch, but I do think if he beats someone like JDM, he would be right back in that conversation for getting a rematch for the title shot. But do Belal versus Shavkat for the title, and do JDM versus Leon Edwards for a welterweight number one contender spot. And the most exciting fight of the night I want to hit on is Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes. And if anyone picked my parlay of Tom Aspinall winning by knockout, you guys are welcome because Tom Aspinall won by knockout in 60 seconds. Now, my picks were not great, but this Tom Aspinall pick 100% solidified the picks that I've had. So if you guys did a 3-leg parlay, I got 3 out of 5 right. And this Tom Aspinall won by KO was probably the best one that I could have probably said. But let's get right into the fight. Tom Aspinall really went out there and showed Curtis Blaydes who was boss inside the octagon. As I was looking for Curtis Blaydes, and I was like, God, don't end the fight. And I could just tell it was going to get ugly real quick. The way Tom Aspinall was moving, the way he is massive in there, and he looks absolutely amazing when he moves around throwing those strikes. Curtis Blaydes looked absolutely outmatched in there, and genuinely, that's how the first fight would have went. But we all know that Curtis Blades didn't land a single shot in that first fight, but Curtis Blades did land a big, I think it was a right hand down the pipe early in the first round, which did have me scared for a second for Tom Aspinall, because Curtis Blades is not a pushover. He hits pretty hard, but Tom Aspinall's just that good, and all of a sudden he came back and hit him with that crazy jab. And I know people were saying he got knocked down with that really big right hand, but it was that jab that really sat Curtis Blades down. And as Tom Aspinall said, he is the best finisher inside the UFC. He went over, jumped on ground and pound immediately to get the win over Curtis Blades. Now, the big thing is Tom Aspinall's performance was absolutely spotless. Beautiful performance, and that was probably one of the best performances of the year for Tom Aspinall. He is so good. It's not even funny how good Tom Aspinall is, and I genuinely think he will become the heavyweight GOAT. But the fight that needs to be made is Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, and I'm sick and tired of seeing Stipe get his name in there, because this fight needs to happen at Madison Square Garden. I don't know what Dana White said. I haven't watched the interview yet, but this needs to happen at Madison Square Garden to headline UFC 309. I don't care what anyone says, because Tom Aspinall is the name to be had in the UFC heavyweight division, and he is so good. The one thing the UFC prides itself in is making the fights the fans want, and every single fan in the UFC organization wants to see Tom Aspinall unify the belt with Jon Jones. And I genuinely think Tom Aspinall is going to run right through Jon Jones, and I think that that's a fight that Dana White doesn't want to give to Jon Jones, but I think that that's a fight that you could give, and that would make Tom Aspinall one of the biggest names inside the UFC organization. But Tom Aspinall had a great performance tonight against Curtis Blades. It's up to the next fight. Curtis Blades should go down and fight someone a little bit lower than him, maybe the winner of Spivak and Tybura, maybe the loser of Volkov versus Cyril Gane, or maybe he gets the rematch with Pavlovich. I think that those would be the fights to really think about making. But Tom Aspinall's performance was super amazing, and the fight that needs to be made next for Tom Aspinall is Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall headlining UFC 309. Okay, Paddy Pimblett has an incredible arm triangle against Bobby Green, and I just want to talk about what Bobby Green was doing in this fight. He was talking so much smack, and Paddy was holding his own in the stand-up, and I think Bobby Green just got nervous or something, because he shot a takedown against Paddy Pimblett, and the way that I thought Bobby Green would win this fight was in the stand-up, being able to be so unorthodox and go in there and truly disrupt Paddy Pimblett. Paddy looked good in there because his stand-up was on par with Bobby Green. Now, I think Paddy Pimblett also looked a lot bigger than Bobby Green in there. Bobby Green is not the biggest lightweight. I think Bobby Green could fight at featherweight if he really wanted to, but Paddy Pimblett looked really big in there tonight. So I think the range difference between Paddy and Bobby was giving Bobby a little bit of trouble, and Bobby just wanted to switch up the fight, so he went for a takedown. But you went for a takedown on someone who is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, and that's what Paddy Pimblett is known for. He is known for his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Paddy Pimblett immediately cinched up the triangle choke and choked out Bobby Green pretty handily very quickly in that fight. And also, Paddy Pimblett also secured an armbar, which would have finished Bobby Green either way throughout this fight. But Paddy Pimblett looked so good in this fight, but Bobby Green just had such a questionable decision going for that takedown. And I understand he was probably frustrated because he wasn't doing anything with the striking, but you gotta understand that Paddy Pimblett is one of the better jiu-jitsu artists in the lightweight division. So Bobby Green doing that was one of the lowest IQ moves I think I have ever seen in the UFC octagon. It was just genuinely awful because he had 100% all the skills to beat Paddy Pimblett on the feet, but he just did not do so. So Paddy Pimblett calling out Renato Moicano. I don't think it's the fight to make because Renato Moicano is fighting Benoit Saint-Denis in September, but I do think someone a little bit over him, maybe a Jalen Turner, would be a good fight for Paddy Pimblett. I do think that would be a very fun fight to make, especially for Jalen Turner, who's a great striker. Putting him up against Paddy Pimblett sometime very soon, since Paddy didn't really take any damage, would be a very fun fight. Maybe have Paddy fight in Paris. That might be a very good card to have Paddy Pimblett fight on, but we all know that Bobby Green is now out of the rankings because Paddy Pimblett took his spot. So I think that Bobby Green should fight someone just a little bit lower than him in that division. Now, I know Jean Silva is a UFC featherweight, but if he comes up to lightweight again, I think Jean Silva versus Bobby Green would be an amazing fight to make. The next fight was Gregory Rodriguez versus Christian Leroy Duncan, and Gregory Rodriguez is an absolute man out there. He hits like a truck out there. He is probably one of the hardest hitters in the UFC. Just seeing him do everything that he does. He is one of my favorite fighters to watch in the UFC. Gregory Rodriguez is so good. His wrestling, his jiu-jitsu, everything that he does is textbook, and he comes in there with so much power, and he's one of the toughest men in the UFC. Christian Leroy Duncan looked lost from the first round. 30-27, I think, was the scorecard for all judges, but in that first round when he got taken down, Gregory Rodriguez was hitting elbows on CNC, and he had that massive welt, that hematoma that formed on his forehead, which was absolutely disgusting, but Gregory Rodriguez needs to fight for a middleweight ranking next. I don't know who he should fight. Maybe a fight with Chris Curtis would be an amazing fight. Someone like that. Maybe a fight with Jack Hermanson. That might be too far up in the rankings. But someone like that for Gregory Rodriguez would be an incredibly fun fight to do, because that boy hits like a truck. He is so good. But Gregory Rodriguez winning that fight, I knew that this guy goes out there and he goes to finish fights. And if he doesn't, he has great jiu-jitsu, great wrestling. So he has that power, that skill, that technique mixed with that great wrestling and jiu-jitsu all the way throughout his fights. The first fight on the main card was Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze, and this was a very close fight, but Giga Chikadze was giving Arnold Allen problems in that first round, and it wasn't really that exciting because Giga was really keeping his range with the kicks, but Arnold Allen started to settle in when Giga Chikadze got tired a little bit, and he knew that kick wasn't going to be as dangerous. So in the second round and the third round, he kind of bit down his mouthpiece and went forward, and Arnold Allen was doing a pretty good job in those rounds, landing some big punches, kind of just always pressuring him. And I think the fight was a lot closer than a lot of people think, but the judges scored it, and it was so apparent for Arnold Allen in those final two rounds because he was moving Giga Chikadze everywhere. Giga was running across the cage to get away from Arnold Allen. It was very impressive to see Arnold Allen really chase him, really bite down on his mouthpiece, and really just kind of go for Giga Chikadze fully and just take it as a fight that was going to happen and just go with it any single time. But Giga was throwing some good kicks, like I was saying. He was throwing some good jabs, but Arnold Allen 100% had the power advantage in there, and you could see it on Giga Chikadze's face. He kind of got a little bit bust up pretty quickly in that fight, but I do think that Arnold Allen should fight someone above him. Maybe Yair Rodriguez would be an incredible fight to make. Maybe Arnold Allen back at the end of the year or the start of next year would be an incredible fight. Maybe a fight with Josh Emmett would be a good fight for Arnold Allen. Something like that I think would be a really, really, really fun fight to do for Arnold Allen. And Giga Chikadze should probably fight someone in the back half of the top 15, maybe the 15th or 14th ranked fighter, or give a chance to someone who is a really good unranked featherweight. Maybe do that fight, Giga Chikadze versus Jean Silva. I love that fight, actually, because Jean Silva hits like an absolute truck. He is so good, and Giga Chikadze is a master with range. He's got that Giga kick on him, so I think that that's the fight to make, Jean Silva versus Giga Chikadze. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fights is MMA, and please let me know what you think about Belal Muhammed and Tom Aspinall's performances at UFC 304, and if there was any other fight that you truly were excited about watching at UFC 304. I know Gregory Rodriguez had a good performance, Paddy Pimblett's submission was pretty impressive, but please let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about UFC 304 in total. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fights is MMA, and please go down and hit that subscribe button. It is the best way to support the channel, and please turn on the post notifications just so you guys are always notified when I release more UFC content and news. 98% of my viewers who watch my videos are not subscribed, so please hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me, and it would support the channel so very much. But thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fights is MMA. I will be back very soon with more fight news and breakdowns. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys soon.